What does a rubber chicken, Groucho Marx glasses, student bloopers, slinkies, crayons, laugh cards, idiot episodes, and prune juice have in common? June Cline. June has been regularly featured on Atlanta radio station WQXI 790 Conscious Living program. She's performed at Atlanta's hottest comedy club, The Punchline, and she's requested nationwide to lighten up business with her presentations on humor in the workplace. A funny lady with some funny stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet June Cline.
Actually, prune juice is the official drink of the Court Jesters Club to let the humor movement begin. Based on some facial features I've seen this morning, it looks like some of you could use a humor movement. If you will see me afterward, I tend to carry at least a six-pack with me at all times. Actually, I need to thank someone this morning. Mr. Rod Smith is a friend of mine, and he prevented me from experiencing yet another idiot episode. Now, some of you know that I collect idiot episodes, and I've built an entire speaking career running around the countryside talking about the value of idiot episodes. But I like it when I don't have to live them all. So this morning, I was in the excitement of the moment and the enthusiasm of this moment, I almost ran right into the men's room. There was Rod. He stood there going, "Whoa, whoa, June, I believe you're still a hen. You belong over there." So I wanted to thank him for that. Now, how many of you have ever accidentally run into the wrong restroom? Raise your hands, be proud. Okay, thank you so much. I feel better now. And how many of you have done it on purpose? I like to know where my perverts are. Well, last week, I was speaking in my home state of Alabama, and I was misdirected into the men's room. Now, I was following the directions, so I didn't notice the little metal plate that's up on the door, and I went busting into the men's room. Well, fortunately, there were no men's in there. So, who knew it was a men's room? All I saw was that funny-looking commode hanging on the wall. And I'm thinking, more modern technology. Now, it looked a little high for me, but I persevered. It took 3 men to get me down off that wall. I'm not the only one that's confused in the facilities these days. The other day, a couple of weeks ago, I was in a fine restaurant in Atlanta, and I walked into the ladies' room. There stood a woman in front of the sink, and she's jumping up and down in front of the sink. I figure, drugs. So I give her a wide berth. She looks at me, kind of embarrassed, and she says, "I can't get the water to come on." And I said, "Well, ma'am, why are you jumping up and down?" She said, "Well, the last fancy faucet I stood in front of, you had to jump up and down to get it to come on." I said, "Well, in this one, all you've got to do is wave your hands under the faucet and the water will come on." And I showed her. Nothing happened. So I said, "Oh, well, maybe you have to wave it on top." Nothing happened. So now I'm flailing my hands around this faucet. It looks like I'm trying to bless the faucet. She continues trying to jump up and down. And there's one of those custodian, those bathroom people that are in there, you know, the ones, we give them a tip, we give them $1 and they hand us a Kleenex. I want to know where we get those jobs. So she's standing over there in the corner looking at us like we're both idiots. And she's getting an attitude. She looks at me and she says, "Just turn on the knob." Wasn't any fancy faucet in there. Well, as most of you know, I have been in financial aid 15 years, and I have spent most of my time collecting idiot episodes and student bloopers that the students have just screwed up on their forms. So I want you to understand that I am not laughing at these students. I'm laughing with them, because many of them are just like me. They're first-generation college. And heck, being from Alabama, I feel fortunate just to be the first generation with a full set of teeth. I'm from Alabama, I can say that, you cannot. So, I am going to, and as a matter of fact, I used to have a little problem filling out the forms myself. Because it took me until the 4th grade to realize that I was Caucasian. Well, you can rest assured nobody ran around my house saying, "June, get your Caucasian backside in here." Just didn't happen. Who knew? So I used to mark that I was Asian. Well, it was the beginning of an alphabet, and I figured I'd get to go first. So, these are some of the student bloopers. This first student is so confused because he is undecided about what he wants to be when he grows up. The next student thinks he knows a little more. He is going into secondary education. The next student thinks that he's a fresh mint. And the next student is, we needed a parent signature. That's what we got. Now, this student has no clue who he needs to talk to, but knows exactly where she sits. The next student did not have an address, but did have a map. All the way from Finland. Hug your postal people. They need our help. Okay, we needed the first page of the 1040 income tax return. That's what we got. And then, remember this question. I believe you can tell the age of an applicant based on the answer to this question. Sometimes, yes, no. That's the young group. I used to just answer male and female. But my favorite two are twice. Once in Madisonville and once in And the last one was the guilt one. Okay. Household size continues to be a problem. We just need to know how many people are living in the house, not when there's a family reunion or an apartment complex size, but this is my favorite answer, 2,400 square feet, not including the porch. Expected graduation date, all we really needed to know was the date about when they're going to graduate. We don't need to know who they're going to take. Last but not least is what I call the epitaph, and I will read this to you so you'll get the full impact. If I don't get financial aid, I don't go to school. Without proper schooling, I can't get a decent job. Without a decent job, I end up digging the ditches to pay the bills. Finally, without hope for the future, I die an unknown death, and on my gravestone they carve, didn't qualify. Some of you are wiping your eyes and you're dabbing your face here. If you hear nothing else from this presentation today, know and understand that laughter equals hope. And don't we all want to qualify in life with our loved ones, with our colleagues, with our society? One of the ways that you can do that is just by bringing laughter into their world. And you don't have to be a comedian to do that. We spent most of the time talking about idiot episodes. You've got them. Everybody's had something happen to you. You just don't take the time to think about what a contribution that could be to a friend or a loved one, someone that's needing a laugh. So in the next couple of minutes, I want you to think about your idiot episode. And I'm going to come back to you and ask for volunteers. So I want you to couple yourselves with someone right there with you, and in just 2 minutes, think about whatever has been stimulated in your brain today and share what your idiot episode is. You've got 2 minutes. Go. Okay. I'm going to need a couple of volunteers to give me the shortest. Oh, I already have a volunteer. For the shortest little idiot episode, please. And I'll need you to come up here. Yes. Thank you. Yes, Mary.
Mary,
Tell us.
I'm the mother of 2 sons. I was cooking in the kitchen one day, and I needed the one standing next to me to bring me something from the refrigerator. So I kept working in the sink, and the kid never moved. So finally I said to him, listen, Vernell, if you don't go and get this stuff out of the refrigerator, you're in big trouble. And he looked up at me and he said, but Mom, my name is Trevor. And as he turned to walk away, he said, you ought to know who I am by now.
Miss Mary, you are the proud owner now of your own prune juice to help the humor movement begin. One more. Do we have time for one more? Yes, sir.
This very week, I was driving down a toll road here in Atlanta, and I was in a big hurry, and I had 2 quarters to my name, and that's how much it cost. So I got in the lane, and I threw the quarters in the basket, and one of them went flying over the basket. So I only had 1 quarter, and the thing wouldn't do a thing. Well, I noticed that this woman was very upset right behind me, and I knew I was in deep trouble. So the only thing I knew to do is to go back there, and as she was just jabbering up and down, on her intake, I says, ma'am, I know you're in a big hurry, and I am too, but neither one of us are going to get anywhere if you don't give me a quarter. So I shifted that idiot moment to her.
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You too get to go home with some prune juice.
Wow, thank you very much. I hope I get home in time.
Use it sparingly. Okay, I'm sure there are many others out there, and some of you didn't get to complete your story, so that's your assignment during the break or in between the next session, is to complete your idiot episode so that the other person can have a chance to share and bond and know that they're as complete an idiot as you are. So what did we learn from that? Sometimes we have to take risk, right? Just a little risk. It can be a fun risk, and you get to determine what the risk is. Now, risk for me means release the inner self kid. Now, that's an acronym, okay? Release, R-I-S-K, release the inner self kid. I believe that deep down inside each one of us is a little kid that is just dying to come out and play. And because of life and society and families, somebody somewhere has told us to tuck that little kid away, especially in the workplace, that it's no longer appropriate to come out and play. June Cline is here to give you permission to bring that little kid back out and play today. Now, when I was doing all my research 4 years ago now on humor, I discovered how important humor is in the healing process. And I'm really glad I did, because about 3 years ago I had to have major surgery. So it was important to me to bring that into my personal situation. Well, I mean, even burn victims experience a 13 to 33% increase in cell growth and regeneration. So, as luck would have it, I received a card from some of my colleagues that know I'm a little crazy. And in this card were some stickers. And the card said to wear these stickers to tell how I wanted to be treated during surgery. So looking for that little spot of humor, I decided I would. So, when the nurse came in and brought me my hospital gown, how many of you have ever experienced this lovely dress? Raise your hands, be proud. And all your dignity went right out the flap in the back, right? Okay. Well, when she came in and brought me this hospital gown, I went into the restroom and slipped it on, and I also slipped on those stickers. I had on no hypos here, ticklish area, and this side up. Well, I'm glad I did that, because sitting in the hospital room was the light of my life, the flame of my eternal being, my husband, Jerry Cline, who was being so strong and so brave for me. And you have to understand the light of his life, his sugar lips kumquat was getting ready to go into major surgery. So I come out with this gown on, and I walked out there, and I just flashed him. And he cracked up. He just lost it. He said, "Where did you get those?" And I said, "Well, I got them in a card," and I explained it to him. And he said, "Well, they're ready for you, so you need to take those off. You need to go." And I said, "No, I'm not going to take them off." And he said, "Oh, you've got to take them off. You can't go in there like that." And I said, "Yeah, I am." So as I wheeled away from him, we were both waving and laughing. We had a secret. Now, I wasn't totally under when I got into the operating room. And when I got under that great big light, in an instant, I was scared to death. That's when reality set in for me. I'll never forget how cold that room was. There were 12 people milling around in there, had not a clue that I had come in. I'm looking in that light thinking, oh my God, this is it. This light may be the last thing I ever see. About that time, the nurse started to administer the IV, and she saw one of my stickers. And she laughed and she said, well, my goodness, what is this? I said, these are instructions on how I want to be treated during surgery. Well, she laughed and she said, well, are there other instructions and may I see them? And I said, well, sure, it's not like you're not going to see everything anyway. So she lifts my gown and says, hey, y'all, come look at this. Those 12 heads that didn't know that I was there now knew I had arrived. They were looking at me wearing nothing but a smile and my stickers. And suddenly it didn't seem like such a cute idea. But just then, the most wonderful thing happened. One of them said, hey, look, y'all, she's one of us. And in that moment, I connected with them and their sense of humor. No longer was I the procedure in 1B. I became one of them, a real, laughing, feeling person. And as I drifted off to sleep, I knew I would wake up, utterly uterless.